Hey, what's up, everybody? Crappy Mondays is here. It's in full effect, and I figured you guys would be so kind as to like the video, share it out, and make sure people get it and hit the bell so you get notified of everything as soon as it drops, because that's very important in these trying times that everybody can kind of watch and get notified of the content. You know, for me, it's always fun to talk about this stuff, and I'm beginning to really like doing these solo casts. I know a lot of people might not understand it, but yeah, it's kind of therapeutic for me, kind of fun. I just feel like it's a way to interact with you guys a lot better than just when I love doing like the Xbox Nations and Crossfires and MNCs and stuff, but this is a way to much easier, or it's not even a word, is it? Much easier to like interact and sort of take your guys' opinions and questions and answer them in the chat, stuff like that. So how's everybody doing? Please like it and share it out. I appreciate it. Yeah, I do got a lot of stuff to talk about. The main thing is like today is Amazon Prime Day, right? And that's usually like the biggest day to get, fantastic deals on video games, right? Like I'm looking for deals and stuff like that. I know a lot of people are looking at deals. I've been retweeting stuff a good portion of the day. And it's funny because not only does Amazon Prime do that, but everybody matches deals, right? And everybody wants their own deal. So you have Walmart and Target and Best Buy, all the big retailers at GameStop doing their own kind of Prime Day thing, slashing prices because they don't want Amazon to get all the business today, right? So everybody's doing big deals. And so when we see like these huge deals that have been going on, and there's been a lot of them, and then you see how quickly the PS4 ones are selling out, but the Xbox ones are still available or not available at all because they were never there, that makes you really kind of question what's going on. Now, last night, I did a video about people. There was this thread on Twitter, right? And this guy, I don't know who this guy is. It might not be legit. I don't know. But he was like, hey, post videos of you smashing your Xbox One, DM me, and I'll send you a PS4, right? And you literally had a ton of people just smashing their Xbox Ones in order to kind of get a PS4. It just kind of goes to show you, right? Like you see more and more people go, well, I'm kind of fed up with what Microsoft is doing. I was thinking about going to PlayStation. Should I buy a PlayStation? This is what I say to people that ask me, should I buy a PlayStation right now? If you can get a good deal, like the ones that were going around today, like I'll give you an example. There was just a PS4 Slim, right? And this thing was going up for $250. And the great thing about it was it came with like Spider-Man, and I think I want to say it came with God of War and Spider-Man. That could have been what it was. But at any rate, it was a really, really good deal. It was $250. Okay, so $250 for that is an incredible deal. And so that's basically what was going on. Like people are very much interested in that deal. That deal sold out, the $250 deal for the Slim, like that. Like, phew, man, gone, like right away, completely gone. They had another deal for the Pro with the same deal, right? You could get both those games in the PS4 Pro for $300. That is an incredible deal. For $50 more, I highly suggest the Pro. Even if you have a 1080p TV, there's going to be some super sampling and stuff like that you're going to be able to take advantage of, and it's good to have. Now, you might go, well, why would I buy this when the PS5 is right around the corner? Well, here's the thing. You can start collecting your hardware to take with you, or your software to take with you right now. So any software that you buy, usually when it comes to a console generation, we as gamers slow down on the software purchases, right? And the reason we do this is because we have not really had backwards compatibility. We're going to have full backwards compatibilities. And so whatever you take with you that you haven't even played, you're going to just take with you. So it's going to be all good. So it doesn't really matter. And these games look amazing anyway. So it's not like they're going to be dated by that much. We're not going to get this huge leap that's going to be noticeable right away anyway. So it's just going to look like more of the same. We're just going to have less load times. Your games are going to probably perform better, even on the new hardware. So you have over a year and a half to play amazing games like God of War, Detroit Become Human, Uncharted 4, Until Dawn, Ratchet and Clank, Horizon Zero Dawn. They're coming out with Death Stranding this year, Ghost of Tsushima next year, The Last of Us 2 next year. There's so many games that you'll be able to play. And this is what I say to people that haven't had a chance to play PlayStation. Hear me out, right? If you haven't had a chance to play a PS4, you've only been an Xbox gamer, and you're one of those people that damage controls Xbox nonstop, trust me, you might have had fun with Crackdown 3. But when you play God of War, it's a life-changing experience. Let me tell you, you'll realize what I'm talking about when you play these games. and you'll just be like, holy crap, you're just being awe. This is what a great game looks like. There's actually great games. This is what it looks like. What's up, AK Massifier? Nice to see you. Got a bum says nobody wants an L box. Indominus Gamer, thank you very much. Sold out everyone today. Oh, you're right. Everywhere is what I wanted to do. That is completely my bad, and I will change that, man. I was it's been a busy day today. It's been a busy day, so I will change that, and you guys don't have to worry about that. Sold out everywhere. Wow, thank you for the heads up. I really appreciate that. So, so anyway, yeah, the games are doing really good. What's up, Kiran? What's up, Tryhard Fan? He says he's playing God of War for the first time today. And wow, this is what I'm telling you, Tryhard Fan, is everybody please like the video and share it out so we can get people out there. You play these games, right? I know a lot of people, and even if you had fun, even if you think Crackdown 3 is the business or Recore is fun, I don't get why it got all the hate, right? Even if you enjoy those games, and I'm not knocking what you like to play as a gamer, that's fine. If you like to play on a phone, hell, you're still a gamer. I'm not going to knock it, right? But at the same time, if you play some of these PlayStation exclusives, I am telling you, you know what? I'm telling you, you will feel exactly what I feel, and you'll see. And I also did a video, and it better explains how I feel about what's going on right now in the industry. Mooch made it perfectly clear, as often, the McCartney to my Lennon. He mentioned this on Crossfire because people accuse us of flip-flopping. And it wasn't us who flip-flopped. It was Microsoft who flip-flopped. I like the Xbox that was games, in it to win it. We're first-class citizens. They want to give us great games and great content. And, they put us first. And that changed, a few years into the generation. It was no longer about that. And so they were the ones that flip-flopped, not me. I'm still all about those big exclusives. I'm still all about that kind of stuff. That's what I'm like as a gamer. That's why I've really been digging PS4 lately. I think it's a great console. The things that they've been able to get even out of that base PS4 is absolutely incredible. If you think about it, that base PS4 manages to get games like Spider-Man and God of War to look better. The exclusives, by the way, maybe not the multiplats, but these games end up looking better than games on the Xbox One X because Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing, or they're indecisive when it comes to what they're doing to begin with. So as far as I can tell, Microsoft has a long way to go. Now, listen, they could win people over. They really could. But you know what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to decide if they actually want that first, right? Do they actually want console gamers? They don't know what they want. That's a big problem for Microsoft right now. They have a very bad identity crisis. It's like, do you actually want console gamers? Do you want people to migrate over to PC and streaming? Do you want to become a third-party developer and just put your games on everything while still having a console just in case? Like, what do you want? Because I'm telling you right now, it's like they're trying to cater to these other things and everything except for, except for the console fans. We're console fans for the most part, and the fact is that Microsoft is doing very little to entice us to stick with them next generation. And I said, somebody asked me, they're like, well, crap, what could Microsoft have done? As if it was some huge thing that they could have done. Sir X-Man says, everyone, me and crap on the same page. Exactly my point. If you guys don't mind sharing this video out and like it as we try and get more and more people in here. For me personally, they say, hey, crap, what would have happened? What could have happened at E3 for you to change how you feel and just like go back to just liking what Microsoft does and be happy and excited about what Microsoft is doing? And I'll tell you, they didn't need to do much. They only needed to confirm, if they would have just confirmed Fable, right, and had one new AAA IP with a single-player element to it, right? It could have even had multiplayer too, but what they needed was to confirm that game with not only a multiplayer element, but a single-player element. If they would have done that, and if they would have also had that Fable announcement, I would have been like, holy crap, let me rip off this shirt. It's an Xbox shirt underneath here the whole time, right? But after 4+ years, Microsoft couldn't respect their gamers enough to do this, right? That to me is a huge problem. Like, I do not understand why they can't announce something, give us a little teaser. And what's funny, because the other day on Twitter, I posted a screenshot and I says, name the game. And the game was Shanghaiist, which was the Black Tusk Studios game that they showed and teased in 2013. Remember Don Matrick got up there and was like, here's a little new something they're working on. And Black Tusk ended up becoming the Coalition, and the rest is kind of history right there. But at the same time, it's like that got people excited. People still talk about that, right? That was 2013, 6 years ago, and people still talk about that. Now, the thing that I get in is people call me a lot of different things. I get called toxic, and I'm like, how am I toxic? You know, I don't take shots at anybody. I don't harass anybody. I don't talk bad about people. I'm not like forcing anybody to listen. I'm not like trying to really change anybody's mind. It's just my own opinion, and I happen to have a couple of outlets to speak my opinion. So I don't understand where people get that from. And they go, oh, well, it's kind of misleading. Carlos says, I bought a PS4 Pro and I had the second to last one. Exactly, Carlos. Good job, man. Welcome to greatness. You're going to have some good times, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be a fantastic bit of gaming. Hold on. Dave GX says, here we go again. Damage controlling Xbox. They're called facts. Also, recent video, you admitted you go where the games are, a la flip-flopping. That's not really flip-flopping. I've always gone where games are. So that's not flip-flopping. That's Microsoft flip-flopping. You know, they're the ones that were like, hey, you know, we're not about those that life anymore. We're not about the life of giving you guys content. Even if you talk to Phil Spencer, you hear him. He's just so in love with this past E3. You know, he's just so proud of himself for it, and that's something that I'll never get. You know, mainly because he hypes up those first-party studios announcements as if those are exclusives to Xbox, or as if those are a reason to get Xbox. And I'm sorry, but putting those games in Game Pass day and date still isn't enough for me to go, oh, okay, this is great. Because guess what? If they're really that great of games, I would rather still play PlayStation exclusives and then just buy the couple of games that really interest me. So, you know, stuff like that doesn't really impress me. Gears of War is a very touchy subject for me. I'm a huge Gears fan. A lot of the, even just the stuff they're doing with the multiplayer, right? So maybe you guys haven't heard this, but they kind of confirmed this yesterday. You guys might know what they're doing is there's no active reload on the shotgun anymore, which I think is weird. It's a very much a, you know, what's up, Lethal Snowflake? So basically what they're doing to Gears 4 or Gears 5, excuse me, aside from what I think is they dropped the of war part because maybe the war part was offensive or something like that. Whether or not you call it Gears or they say, oh no, that's not why we changed it, just because. To me, it seems like they dropped the of war part because, you know, that's not what Microsoft is about, you know, promoting war or whatever. So you know, there's that. Then there's the fact that in the last Gears game, Gears 4, they took out a bit of content of dialogue that someone found offensive, and people go, I got in an argument with someone on Twitter and they're like, but people were complaining that they found it offensive. What in today's society doesn't someone find offensive? Where does that stop? When do you stop removing content and censoring content when somebody finds it offensive? Now, if you're a huge Xbox dude, don't sit there and come at me with, but Sony did this. They censored this. We're not talking about Sony. I'm not for censoring no matter what it is. I'm just saying you don't have to deflect. Just go, yeah, it is kind of weird that Microsoft is doing that. That's always been my point. No, print plays. When you play in the multiplayer, there's no active reload for the shotgun. Go look at the tweets yesterday. No active reload for the shotgun. I believe they lowered it from 6 or from 8 shots to 6 as well. If you miss your reload, you get 3 shots instead of 6 as well. So there's no more active reload. There's active reload, but there's no active reload damage increase. So basically, that's what they're talking about. Hold on. Calls D4C says, saw Aaron's tweets about TV not mattering. These guys are out of touch. So yeah, this is another point that I want to make too, but I don't really want to, dude, active reload. There's no active reload damage increase anymore, man. There's no active reload damage increase. Plus they lowered the number of shots you have. Plus they added emotes. Guys, for the first time ever, guess what? Gears of War characters do little weird emotes like Fortnite or something. So not only that, but in the campaign, you're going to get to play as Jack, right? That's a way to draw in casual players. This is what I'm saying, right? Gears is changing to meet more casual players and more and to be more politically correct. Now, it could be a really good game still, and I have hopes that it is. But just look at that. You can play as Jack in the campaign. Like that sounds really kind of dumb to me. That the lack of active reload, you know, power increase. Realistically, that is something that I'm disappointed in as well. I do think that they're doing some good things, like being able to outright buy stuff instead of doing those stupid loot crates and stuff like that. Those things were ruining the last Gears game, right? The smoking thing, that, like, I know people took that as, oh, well, people are just trying to look at stuff with a fine tooth comb. The thing for me always was this: why even bring it up? Why bring it up? That's the part that kind of grinds my gears. Get it? Grinds my gears. That's the part that kind of annoyed me, was why even bring this up if it's a non-issue, if you already weren't doing it? You didn't have any tobacco in the last Gears. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. So why bring it up in this one? Then why would people approach you then at that point to have it removed from the newer one and make a big story out of this, right? Like, the only news surrounding Gears right now is bad news, right? We don't have any campaign footage. That's bad. That's not good at all. That's going to be, that's a piss poor thing to have when you look at the fact that this game's coming out in 50 days or something like that, and we have no campaign footage. So yesterday, I'm surprised that dude, Johnny, I'm not saying that the smoking thing was an issue, but I'm just saying you have to be careful with what you're disallowing, just simply due to the fact that as gamers, you don't want them to start censoring things or whatever, like, that's my opinion. I didn't particularly care about the smoking thing myself. I just thought that it was like the principle where, okay, where does it end? It's a game that kind of glorifies violence, and you got chainsaws and curb stomps and all this kind of stuff, right? So why are they allowed? You know what I mean? Like, it seems like a weird stance to take, in my opinion, right? But I personally do not care. Like, I honestly do not care about them having that in or out. I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. But when you throw in all these other things as well, I think that starts to show you that Microsoft does maybe have a little bit of an agenda. And you look at the fact that, when was the last time Microsoft put out a M-rated game that wasn't Gears? Gears has quickly become, or sadly become, the only M-rated game that I can think of that Microsoft has, right? Halo is now teen rated. Forza obviously is E. Of course, Sea of Thieves, I think, is E or T, whatever. Like, they haven't hardly had anything. I think Quantum Break is T for teen. What mature games has Microsoft put out? If you look at the games that Microsoft is putting out, you guys, just to me, that's just kind of how I'm looking at things, right? Like, what in the world is going on here? Why, like, Microsoft, who are they trying to cater to? Who are they trying to win over here? Right? Like, that's the thing that I kind of worry about, because Gears is standing alone in this weird part of Microsoft Game Studios where it's the only game that's M-rated. Rise was at the beginning of the generation, and I guess Dead Rising, but they don't own those IPs, and obviously that was a launch title. But what Microsoft games lately? I mean, we've been like Super Lucky Tail, Cuphead, Ori. But these games aren't M-rated. We're getting like these little, and we wonder why people are flocking to play stuff like Days Gone and The Last of Us and God of War on the PlayStation. Well, don't look any further than that. We have the head of Xbox pushing this agenda for these types of games, like these, like, I would guess, like, Nintendo aged gamers, like Microsoft. Who do they want to be? Are they hardcore gamers for hardcore console gamers and those type of games, or are they more or less for everybody? Do they want to be for everybody? Because I feel like they have this huge identity crisis going forward, and they keep going out of their way to cater towards a little bit of here, a little bit of there, a little bit of everywhere, but not the true hardcore gamers that were with them since day one. And I feel like that's a bit of a problem. That's been my problem with them. So what's up? Hold on. Rich of Cucumber says, hey, Crap, do you think games like Forza 8 will feature ray tracing features while Sony's don't have them in next gen? I think both will have them, but obviously maybe the Scarlet will be better at that. The thing that worries me is this might be, when you turn ray tracing on, it limits your frame rate. So I don't know. To me, I'd rather have a higher frame rate and a resolution than a lower one with ray tracing. I don't know. We'll have to see how it kind of goes. I feel like that's a catch-22. Hustle Hursty says Xbox One is like the ugly duckling that no one wants. Sad. One typical Latino says God of War felt M-rated. C3 did not. Oh, wait. Did somebody say Crackdown 3? Was Crackdown 3 M-rated? Holy crap. If it was, then I don't know what the heck the board was thinking on that, because that game felt super lame when you're playing it. So, yeah, it wasn't great. Will Bradley says, crap. Why do you even claim to be an Xbox fan? It's not a claim. I've owned every Xbox. I bought them all day one. If I counted up the amount of games that I have for all three Xbox consoles, which I still have, by the way, I still have two original Xbox consoles, my original one and the green Halo one. And I have, I think, 4 or 5 Xbox 360s, including the Star Wars one and a Gears one and a Halo one. And my Xbox Ones, which I bought 5 of them, 2 Xbox One X's, 2 S's, and a original launch one. But I also have my brother's one. Both of our launch ones broke. The hard drives got corrupted or broke in them around the same time. So I have maybe a total of almost 10 Xbox consoles total, maybe 10 or 11, and about 2,000 Xbox games. Now that's including Xbox One, Xbox 360, and Xbox. So I would say that that qualifies me as an Xbox fan. And the fact that you might not agree with what I'm saying, nobody can dispute what I'm saying. So when I say this, Microsoft is crappy at advertising. Okay. They're not advertising their games. They don't care. They say they don't care if we buy their console. They don't make money that way, only off the software and services, right? They have not announced a new AAA IP since 2015, which means there hasn't been a new AAA IP in the works, which that game probably started, which was Sea of Thieves, started in 2014. It means they haven't started a new AAA IP since 2014, and we're in 2019. That's 5 years. Like, no matter how big of an Xbox fan or fanboy you are, I don't care if you have 2 million subs or you're a way bigger YouTuber than me or people like you better than me. There is nobody that's out there in the world that can dispute what I'm saying, because these are the facts. The last AAA IP they announced, a new one, was 2015. The last new AAA IP that they released was 2016, which was Quantum Break, and that game was announced way back in 2013. So they literally stopped creating new AAA IP almost the entire generation, and people defend that and are okay with that. Same thing with the way that we all said Microsoft needs to do better with exclusives. And then when it was rumored that Game Pass and their exclusives might come to other consoles, including the Switch or the PS4, people changed their tune really quick then, and they're like, okay, that's fine. And people tell me commercials don't matter, right? Nobody watches TV anymore. People actually reiterated this to me yesterday, right? People absolutely reiterated this to me on Twitter, and it blew my mind. Here we are in a world where Spider-Man was on TV nonstop. God of War commercials were on TV nonstop. Days Gone on TV nonstop. These games are on TV nonstop. Plus, they have them on train stations and basketball courts and everywhere, right? Soccer fields, everywhere you look, there's advertisements for PS4 exclusives. I asked Aaron Greenberg yesterday on Twitter. I was like, hey, Aaron, is there any plans whatsoever for Gears of War to be, to get an advertising campaign? And he replied to me that they have good ideas coming and they're going to advertise Gears, but that people don't watch TV the way they used to. And so that's not a big part of their budget. So they're looking for opportune times or something like that, quote unquote, paraphrasing, heavy hitting times to put advertising up for what they're doing. So they're basically, what he's saying is they're going to do a couple of ads at big events, maybe at the start of football season or something. Right. And, I get it, but here we are less than 2 months out and you have no ads. And I told him, I was like, I'm not hyped for this Gears the way I was other Gears games. And when I say that, I mean it. I'm going to play it. It's the first one I'm not buying. I mean, I'm going to play it in Game Pass because I did what most people did and just upgraded for that $1. But for me personally, I just feel like you've got to advertise on TV. People still watch TV. I don't know. Even if you watch Hulu, I mean, there's ads. So I do think that that's kind of weird that he's claiming that nobody watches TV. And that Xbox fans actually kind of reiterate this fact. They're like, well, no one watches TV. Or they go, this is the same argument that people tell me, you're a dinosaur, crap. Get off my lawn, and they make the jokes and stuff like that. But if you look at it, Xbox games aren't selling. Xbox consoles aren't selling. At what point do we look back and go, well, maybe the dinosaur way is the way to go, right? Maybe advertising on TV, putting your console gamers first, maybe giving good exclusives. Maybe this is the way that we should go from now on. This is the way that this is what people want. You know, maybe we should stop trying to force things and stop trying to change everything and slowly introduce some of these changes and keep those things on the back burner, because that's what Sony's doing. They're going to stream and they're going to do that kind of stuff. And, but that's not going to be the focal point. They're not going to shout that from the rooftops while totally ignoring it. I saw Mikey Barra yesterday. You guys know him. He's like the VP of Xbox or something like that. I saw Mikey Barra tweet out yesterday. He goes, and this kind of pissed me off, and I don't know why this pissed me off. But it did. He tweeted out, get Game Pass Ultimate, and then you can play Gears of War Ultimate Edition 4 days early on PC and console. And he calls it a console on PC and console. Can this guy not type Xbox? Like, is it that out of Microsoft's mind that, PC and console, you can play it 4 days early on, and he puts PC first on PC and console. Like, to me, I don't know why that pissed me off. And I saw a guy who I follow named Snoopy was like, he kind of put quotations in it, and he put Xbox, because it's just so funny that these guys, these guys don't want, they don't want to talk about console for whatever reason. Do they want us to switch? Like, I don't know if they want us to switch, but for sure, I think that it's just really, really one of those things that that pisses me off. I don't get it. Like, what's wrong with Xbox? What's wrong with saying Xbox? What's wrong with being an Xbox fan? The way that they've kind of done this really kind of screwed it over. So somebody just tweeted this to me. This is an ad from GameStop. And it says, Xbox owners, it's the price you've been waiting for to add a PlayStation 4, only $249. And that's the ad for the PlayStation 4 Slim from GameStop. Now, here's the other thing. It says, PlayStation fans, give Xbox a shot with this way low price, only $199. So they're just, but why would you give an Xbox a shot, to be honest with you? I especially an S or SAT edition, I do not understand why anybody would give those a shot. Like, if you were to ask me what games are must-have plays on Xbox, they're only going to be the Horizon games and maybe Ori or something. Like, even Halo, this last Halo was super lame. Gears 4 was okay, but nothing great. Maybe Gears 5 will be okay. I don't really know. But the motorsport games took a step back. There literally is squat that you can't get elsewhere on Xbox that's really worthwhile. So if you're like, hey, should I get an Xbox? I would say I would wait. I would even wait I wouldn't even buy a Scarlet day one, to be honest with you. I would say wait that out, see what kind of games they're going to announce, because I don't believe that they're going to invest in AAA exclusives that have a single player element, or a big single player element, new ones anyway. I think we're going to get everything with multiplayer. Just look at Bleeding Edge. I know that was in the hopper before Microsoft bought them. Passion Project, all that stuff, B team, C team, D team, doesn't really matter to me. That's the game that was closest to release, and Microsoft and Phil Spencer saw that and were like, hey, that would be perfect for Game Pass, loot boxes and crates or whatever, and it looks like a free-to-play game, right? To me, I think this game still looks like it's going to be like a 65, 70 Metacritic and nothing really worthwhile. Nobody's dying to get an Xbox to play Bleeding Edge, My main concern still stands is I like Xbox Live. It's the only service I pay for. Well, actually, I pay for that Nintendo network too, but that's just to get the games or whatever. But when it comes to Xbox Live, my main worry is, hey, are we going to get a situation where, we're going to have to play with PC gamers because there's so few people on the console natively. We're going to have to play with xClouders. Or we're going to have to play with people that are on a iPhone. That's really a bad situation to think about. So, by the way, they're giving away Xbox Ones for cheaper than PS4s right now, but the PS4s are still the ones selling out. Why is that? Like that's the thing. Simon Braylick says, I have no idea why you stick with Xbox anymore. You have been consistently complaining about the direction of Xbox. The company ain't changing the course they are on anytime soon. Simon, the thing is this: if enough people speak up and speak with your wallet, then they will. Here's the thing also. Microsoft, according to Brad Sams, had huge sales expectations for the SAT edition, a discless console. I think if they wanted this thing to take off, and then they were going to probably, maybe that's why Lockhart got canceled. Maybe Lockhart was a discless version, and since nobody bought the SAT edition, they realized that people want the option of a disk drive, right? So maybe that's why they canceled it. But the fact that it remains, if enough people speak out, you can change it. Look, I don't know why people go, well, just sell your Xbox and stop talking about Xbox. Okay, listen, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan, right? I'm going to complain when they do stupid things, and I'm still going to support them, right? For me personally, that's just how I am, you know. So, you know, either deal with it or don't. You know, I'm sorry. I try not to be doom and gloom all the time. If there's good stuff to talk about, hey, I'm going to be happy to talk about it. If they come out and surprise us with a Fable announcement, which I know they never will, because that's not what Microsoft is about, I'd be happy as hell, man. I'd be like, hey, this is the best thing ever. But the fact that they're not, and you know they're not, you know, that's really a bit of a problem. Next doc says, Crapgamer, last gen PlayStation was selling their curtains, microwaves, and whole buildings because of the losses PS3 was acquiring, but they doubled down on games to close out the gen. Xbox quit on us. Yes, Xbox quit. Rumple Foreskin, thank you very much. Appreciate the thing. Dave GX says, Lockhart was never officially announced. How could they cancel it? Well, Dave GX, Microsoft actually had a leaked document talking about Lockhart was the entry price point for next generation. And Phil Spencer did get interviewed after E3 2018 and said they were working on 2 different ones. So, you know, that's really what it's at. Nerba Jackson says, why aren't you able to move on? Why can't you appreciate Sony without attacking Microsoft? Because I like Xbox and I would like them to go in a direction where I can continue to support them as well. But the fact of the matter is we need competition. So if you don't think we need competition, I guess that's on you. But at the same time, you have to understand, if Microsoft continues going the way that they're going, how in the world can they continue making consoles when nobody's buying their stuff, right? What's going to make somebody buy an Xbox Scarlet, right? Like, that's what I'm questioning right now. Like, who's going to rush out to buy an Xbox Scarlet for what? Another Halo game? I think that's going to be the problem. Yeah, Alex says people are literally breaking their Xbox and posting it on Twitter. This is what I'm saying. People are actually going out of their way to try, even for a 1% chance. People are going out there breaking their Xbox consoles and hoping to get a PS4, right? Even if that's a 1% chance, people are doing that, right? And I'm sorry, like, some of you guys maybe don't like it that I've kind of gone sour on Xbox. Xbox went sour on me, guys and girls. Sorry. They're the ones that aren't putting out games. They're the ones that are going out of their way to kind of do nothing. That's not my fault. Like, you guys are act like I did something. Like, that's not me. I've always liked Xbox because they had great games, and those great games aren't a thing anymore. And that's unfortunate. I wish that they were, but the fact of the matter is, great games is something they gave up on in the middle of this generation. How can you guys be? This is what I would ask, right? And I would love to just, I don't like follow a lot of Xbox people or YouTubers or anything like that. Like, the ones that I do, most of them feel the way I do. So when I ask them, you know, they don't know. They feel the exact same way as I do. But I often wonder this, right? How can people not be angry at Xbox when they gave up on game creation, right? Like, you bought a console, you spent hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars this generation on Xbox. They gave up content creation. They gave up on the generation. They gave up on trying to make you happy as gamers and started putting their stuff everywhere, almost like a third party type situation. And people are still happy with that. I don't understand it. You know, I think that that's unfortunate. And I really don't see how people can just be okay with that. And, but you can be, to be clear, you 100% can be. I have no problem if you are happy. I wish you nothing but the best with Xbox going forward. I'm hoping that they actually do turn things around, because we need that competition. But as it stands right now, though, just the way I look at it, I think Xbox Scarlet is going to be the worst selling Xbox in the history of Xbox. And I know this triggers a lot of people, and they'll go, well, they'll still be making money. They sure will, but they're not going to be making money with the Xbox console. Nobody's going to be on it, and that's going to suck. You know, we went from a generation with the Xbox 360 where there was what? They used to report how many Xbox Live users were playing Halo, right? You guys remember that? They used to report how many Xbox Live users were on Halo. 575,000 last month, or, you know, the peak for that for one day. Like, you would have 1 million people on Halo 3 in one day. 1 million people, right? You had 4 million people playing Call of Duty at launch on Xbox 360. 4 million. You know how I know that? Because they used to actually mark this, people, right? You know, this is the thing. Go back on the 360, pop in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 1, whatever it is. It tells you how many people are currently playing. You know, it was always in the millions. They took that out. You know why Microsoft and these companies took it out? Because nobody's playing it anymore. When I play Call of Duty, I run into the same stupid people every time. And they're not stupid per se, but, you know, these aren't friends of mine or anything. I just get matched up with them all the time because there's nobody playing. You know, that's a problem. Nobody's playing. I'm sorry. It's just not, there's not a big install base on Xbox. You know, whatever they have, people aren't playing Xbox anymore. And that's Microsoft's fault. Lack of advertising, lack of games, lack of vision. They think that, you know, they give you some services or whatever, and that everybody's going to be happy. And while Game Pass is a good service, it devalues their exclusives because they put out junk games. And it also devalues games with gold because they put out junk games. You know, we get indie games with gold every single time now. That's a problem. You know, that's a problem. And I'm sorry that, you know, some of you guys, you know, don't like it, or you liked Happy Peppy Crapgamer, who was kissing Phil Spencer's ass and saying everything Microsoft did was great, when that was never actually the case. I wasn't complaining as much as I am now, but I still complained and was still kind of wary about the direction that they were going to go. And unfortunately, you know, the worst case scenario was the one that's happening. You know, that's a shame. That's really a shame to me. You know, I wanted Microsoft to pay attention and to do good things. You know, I wanted great games for every. It's not for me. It's not just for me, you guys. So that's why I never understood the hate. Like, people hate me now, right? I get it. You know, if I go to E3 next year, I'll probably get booed, and that's fine. It's like, I'll be the bad guy, but it's not just for me, man. I'm speaking up because I think that they can make better games for everybody. You know, that's the problem. You know, I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. You know, in my opinion, anyway. If you guys don't like it, then, you know, feel free to unsubscribe. Why not? Everybody else is. You know, there's everybody. I was told all. You know what's funny was I was told I switched to PlayStation to get views and subs when they've done nothing but gone down. So at some point, people are going to realize, hey, Crap's just telling his honest opinion and giving us honest opinion. Maybe it's not shtick. Maybe it's just him giving his truthful opinion on what's going on with Xbox. And you know, maybe take a look. If I got to do that, then I guess I got to do it. It is what it is. But I'm telling you, Microsoft is setting themselves up for a very bad generation next gen. One typical Latino says, remember, Xbox was so hardcore it had esports. Well, they still did the esports stuff. Johnny Warrens, he says, I like your videos. I just dislike when you sound like a flip-flopper. So let me try to explain this, because we got over 400 watching. Hey guys, can you please hit the like button? Let's get up over 100 likes. Maybe we can get to 150 if you guys all do it. So let me explain exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't flip-flop. I went with Xbox One this generation. I could only afford one. You know, it was $500 and $400 for a PS4, which meant you would have had to pay $1,000 by the time you count taxes for both consoles. And I didn't have any interest in playing Knack or Killzone on the PS4. While I thought Rise looked good, Titanfall, you know, Sunset Overdrive, they showed off. They said Halo was coming, Forza Motorsport, like I said, Rise, Dead Rising 3, Killer Instinct really was one that sold me. So I went with Xbox because that first 2 years was stacked. And Sony wasn't stacked. So I went where the games were. Remember, Phil was like, I'm in it to win it. He said that in 2014. He kept going, this E3 is going to be games, games, games. And then come about like 2015, after that year, it changed from games, games, games to they started talking about PlayStation and Nintendo on stage and Kumbaya, and no more new games were announced since then, like AAA games. So that's what happened. It wasn't me flip-flopping. It was them flip-flopping. Obi-Wan, who says, I like being able to play in the Xbox ecosystem on PC and xCloud just because they don't sell consoles. A shit ton does not make them dead. It's about user base. Here's the thing, Obi-Wan. I'm sure that you still like the console, right? Like you talk about the user base, but the Xbox console should still be the number one priority, right? That's what they built this up on. So you're okay with the big user base, even if there's nobody on the console. So you think people playing on the cloud on a tablet using a touchscreen for controls versus PC using mouse and a keyboard is the future, right? That's my nightmare. You know, when you look over at Sony, they don't have as good of a structure on their online, but they don't allow disparity with online stuff. Meaning, if you're on a mouse and keyboard, you can't play against people on a controller. You know, they're not going to match people up on their console versus someone on a touchscreen on a iPhone, right? That's terrible. That's a bad idea. That's really mismatching what you're going to have. So you can talk up user base. It doesn't help you one bit, because you think that people are going to continually use these xCloud and stuff like that. It's not the way it's going to work. Like, you're not going to see this huge increase in user base because Microsoft doesn't have the games to drive the user base, right? Their games are on PC and nobody's buying them still. That's the problem. Obi-Wan says, I love the console, and they have said many times console is top priority. And by the way, you can sync your controller to a PC on a tablet. I get that you can use a controller, dude, but not everybody's going to carry a controller with them. And there is usually on a PC, there's no way to do separate lobbies. So if you're using a controller on a PC, you're most likely going to get slapped around by somebody using a mouse and keyboard. So that's a problem. Next doc says proper games want consoles, not cloud phone, tablet trash. This is exactly my point. It goes back to a time where I was having a discussion with Albert Pinello on Twitter, and this was when he still worked for Microsoft and when they just announced Play Anywhere. And he actually said this to me. He's like, 95% of we surveyed, or our data shows 95% of Xbox One owners also play on PC and also play on mobile. And I said to him on Twitter, I said, you know what? I don't play on PC ever or mobile ever. And people I know don't either. And he was just flabbergasted. We kind of got in an argument about it. I was like, you guys are pivoting. Microsoft pivoted to this stuff because they pivoted because they were getting so badly beaten. They got bullied out of the console race this generation. That's really what happened. Hold on, let me see this. Hold on. Dave GX says, oh, it will increase their user base. The more devices you can play on, the larger your community becomes. Dave, how is that user base increased when they've included PC, which is the largest user base, and nobody's still playing Xbox right now? Even on PC, nobody's playing these Xbox games. So how has that worked? We've had Play Anywhere for years now. You know, I'm flabbergasted. Do you think that xCloud is going to sell their console? Personally, Stadia, I think, is going to go out of business within 3 years. I don't think xCloud is going to be a big deal because they only have a certain amount of servers around the world. And unless you're within a certain range, you're not going to be able to. And if they have a cloud set-top box, it's basically them admitting that the controls and movements are so delayed that you need some kind of way to fix that, which, you know, they're going to, you know, that's what I'm saying. Ronnie Bass says, crap, stop defending yourself for using common sense every time someone calls you a flip-flop. Well, no, I feel like it's important to let people know, right? Like here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and I don't mind it because I have no problem whatsoever with Colt Eastwood. Me and him patch things up. I think he does great for what he does. It's not my style, but he's fine. Me and him are fine with each other. Someone brought up a video from Colt Eastwood from like 3 years ago that was talking about how Microsoft needs more exclusives and better exclusives. And then they brought up a current video where it was him talking about how exclusives weren't needed and games on everything was the best thing ever, right? So people brought that up, and the Xbox dudes were defending Colt, which, you know, that's fine. But they were like, why are you bringing up stuff from 3 years ago? Can't people change their mind? And I just thought it was a little bit of ironic. And maybe, Obi-Wan, you might know what I'm talking about because you might have been in that thread. But I just thought that was ironic because people bring up stuff that I talked about 4 years ago and call me a flip-flopper for it, but nobody else is a flip-flopper. So that is me kind of how I sort of look at things. It's like it's all relative, but for me, I think that I am the least flip-flopper because I actually have always just cared about the games, you know? I appreciate it, Johnny. I still sound like a flip-flopper. That's fine. Clive says, crap, are you getting PS5 day one and just keeping the X for backwards compatibility and a few exclusive? That's the plan. Unless Microsoft can sell me on something at this upcoming E3, and I refuse to say wait for E3. But as of right now, my money putting aside is strictly for the PS5 and what they're going to be offering. And hopefully we get a situation where they can actually come out. I'm hoping they sell me on a Scarlet, right? I'm hoping they can sell me on a Scarlet. You know, but they have to sell me on they need new games to sell me on a Scarlet. The only way that I can see myself picking up an Xbox Scarlet is if they announce that there's a new AAA IP coming and they show something off about him. You know, that's the only way that I'm going to get an Xbox Scarlet day one. Otherwise, I'm just going to play Halo Infinite on my X. It's probably still going to be 4K 60. So what the heck do I matter, right? Next docs. Hey, if you guys please hit the like button, man. Over 430 watching just on this random crappy Monday. Hey, I'm glad to see you guys support crappy Mondays, to be honest with you, because I have fun doing this. And so it does make me happy to see that you guys come out here and kind of support the show like you're doing. So thank you guys so much for that. I really do appreciate it. It's pretty cool to see. And again, not flip-flopping, just kind of giving my explanation and my thoughts and opinions on this stuff. You know, it's like I get it. I worry a little bit much, but at the same time, I feel like if more people kind of spoke out about this stuff, we'd have a better chance at getting more games and stuff like that. Like Phil Spencer hears us. He knows this. I've talked to Phil. Like other people have messaged Phil. Apparently Phil is not a huge fan of people critiquing this past E3. So you know, I haven't really talked to him much about this E3, but I think I might. I don't know. But he's going to say the same thing he told me last time I talked to him, which is even though announcing games makes people feel easier at ease about buying into the Xbox ecosystem or whatever, he's not going to do it until games are ready. You know, like to me, that was always, you know, just one of the things that I kind of thought was kind of lame, the way that he kind of talked about it. What's up, Crap? Did you watch the E-League Gears 5 tournament? The Gears 5 multiplayer looks fire. You're going to be in the tech test this. Yeah, I'll probably tech test it. The only problem that I had with the multiplayer that I saw was the fact that it looks like there's no active reload power increase for the shotgun. So, yeah, like, yeah, hey, Fun Creator says Phil is out of touch with reality. Yeah. One typical Latino says Crap Mooch and Z should do an interview with Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer would never interview us with us for multiple reasons, but I think because we aren't the type that would actually go out there and kiss his ass, we would ask him like the legit questions like, hey, Phil, do you realize you guys haven't announced a new AAA game since 2015? You haven't released a new one since 2016. You haven't started working on one since 2014 with Sea of Thieves. Like maybe you got some working on them now. Why can't what is it about Xbox exclusives that makes it so tough for you to want to get them out there? Why is it okay for PC to get exclusives but not Xbox? Lethal Snowflake says with next generation, man, you sing gonna have to worry about ray tracing and frame rate. I want better graphics more than 4K even. I'll take 1440p 60 max graphics on next gen. Well, it comes down to the games. If you're ray tracing ReCore 2 or ray tracing God of War 2, which one do you think is going to look better? You know, that to me is the problem, right? Like you can have ray tracing all you want at a hardware level, but if you're not creating amazing games, you know, I think that's going to be a problem. And Microsoft has not proven that they can make a great game. You know, that when was the last great game that Microsoft made? I'm curious. You guys can feel free to answer. You know, that'd be cool. But just in the chat, you guys can answer. When was the last time Microsoft made a great game, in your opinion? Like a true great game, maybe game of the year type, something along those lines. When was the last time Microsoft did something like that? In your guys' opinions, you know, that to me is what I'm kind of questioning right now. Like, when was the last time they've done that? A great game. Was it the 360 era? That's a question. Johnny Warren says, Mike joins podcast at times. What if someone tells him the truth about how Xbox fans feel right now about the current situation instead of acting like everything is fine? I've talked to Mike. Mike has been on Crossfire. We interviewed him a couple of times. He stopped by Xbox Nation a couple months ago, and I was talking about my concerns with the crossplay and stuff like that. The problem is Mike and them were acting like, what's the next generation? Like they didn't know. Obviously, you got to have something planned. You know, SB Nameless says Sea of Thieves, definitely AAA. I call it AAA. West Webb says, what's up with you and Dealer? Nothing as far as I can tell. We patch things up. We both do our own thing. I'm not talking about him. As far as I know, he's not talking about me. And that's just how it is. That's just fine. You know, I kind of want to just be left to my own thing. And he does his own thing. You know, those guys do their own like pro Xbox stuff. And and that definitely has a place. I got to a point where I could no longer just do like random pro Xbox stuff. So, you know, it was just kind of weird. Maverick says Gears 4 was boring. I agree at times. The DB bots and especially the characters themselves were kind of boring in my opinion, as well as the tower defense parts. I felt like they just threw those parts in there to kind of make the game last a little bit longer or whatever. So yeah, that was kind of disappointing to me. But I do think that Gears 5 should be better. But it wouldn't surprise me if Gears 5 still got like an 80 to 84 Metacritic. Not saying Metacritic is the be all end all, but you don't often see games when you have the 5th or 6th in the series score up. You know, it's very rare. Like I was surprised, to be honest with you guys, that Uncharted 4 got a 90 something Metacritic, because usually by the time you get to the 4th one or whatever, you start to see kind of a decline. And, you know, being that it was a new studio as well, it was easy to see why there was a little bit of a decline or whatever. So that's something that you guys have to keep in mind. I hope that they do well with it, and I hope that some of my fears are unfounded. But I just don't feel the hype around the community or around gamers. Like my friends who I usually play Gears with haven't even confirmed that they're getting Gears. So I don't even know what's going on with that. You know, I know I'm not buying it. Gears of War used to sell Xbox consoles. Like that was a guaranteed NPD win for the Xbox that month. Any month that Gears of War released, Microsoft won that NPD, right? And Gears of War was the top of the NPD, at least for the first month. Like when I'm looking at things right now, do you guys in the chat feel like Gears of War will win an NPD, the game? And do you think that Gears of War is going to push consoles and win the NPD? Microsoft has not won an NPD since 2016. I believe Gears of War 4 was the last one that won them an NPD. That was their last NPD win. So do you guys in the chat feel like Gears of War 5 has garnered enough hype and gotten enough people interested that they'll buy an Xbox for Gears of War, and they'll also that Xbox will win that NPD? Like, I'm curious about how you guys think. You know, I definitely don't think it's going to happen. I think there's zero chance. Most people are going to get it on Game Pass like me. Dude, I think Gears 5 will sell lower than Gears 4, which I heard they were very disappointed with the Gears 4 sales. Apparently they had 5 million quote unquote playing it, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Next Doc says, nope, sure won't. Gears of War is unfortunately slowing, and deservedly so, pushing PC, PG agendas. Definitely. Matty B says, Game Pass, no one is buying. Exactly. This is why when people bring up to me that Sony is going to have to do a Game Pass of their own, I say no. And not only do I say no, but I say they should fight that. And Sony fans should support Sony and buying their exclusives, because you don't want to go that way, because I feel like it really cheaps out with what you're getting, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like the games, and Gears might not be that way. because Microsoft does pump a lot of money into Gears, Forza, and Halo. But for me personally, I do feel like Microsoft is kind of cheaping out on their exclusives because of Game Pass, and maybe, and that's definitely not a good thing. You need to have really great quality exclusives to sell your console, to sell what you're offering people, and I feel like Microsoft hasn't done a really good job with that at all. So hopefully, they can go about fixing that perception, because that's a negative perception. And when I bring up perceptions, right, and I bring up, oh, well, there's a negative perception against game streaming, that is 100% truth. On Live has been around, Gaikai was around, PS Now has been around. PS Now was doing stream to phone, stream to PSP, stream to a DVD player or whatever. And people just have bad experiences with it. That's why I always say, this xCloud stuff and what they're doing isn't necessarily this huge win that people talk about. Like Xbox, it always kind of is weird to me that so many Xbox fans are just so high on xCloud and stuff, right? Like they think it's going to sell Xbox consoles and stuff like that. I don't really see that as being the case. And people that don't play, that don't pay to play games, they just play free to play stuff or whatever, or they play mobile all the time, they're not going to suddenly switch and start paying to play stuff. Like it's not going to happen. I don't want Microsoft to fail for sure, but I feel like they're setting themselves up a bit, and they're not giving themselves enough credit, or the hardcore fans enough credit, by sticking around to what they can do. They should really be playing to their strengths, which is the hardcore console gamer. I think it's a shame that they aren't doing that. So hopefully they can rebound a little bit and start to mention the console a little bit more, because right now as it stands, I feel like they don't really even mention the console. It's like an afterthought most of the time. Like I said, Mikey Barra was tweeting out yesterday and was just calling it, he was like, Gears Ultimate on PC and console, right? Like you can't even say the word Xbox. Like seriously? Like to me, that is a big problem. And I hope that they kind of get that through their heads, that they've got to respect their user base a little bit. Hey, Dave GX says OnLive was garbage. Hey, nobody's saying that OnLive wasn't garbage. But hold on, Nintendo Switch guy. You say, crap, you don't know what a true fan is. You defected to Sony. I didn't defect to Sony. Microsoft defected to not doing any games. Jake E says, crap, here's your pony stripes. You earned it. Oh, man. I guess I'm a pony now, huh? Because I want great games. Damn me to heck. Because I want great games, and Microsoft hasn't put out any and refuses to announce any. I guess I deserve to be a pony. Well, I guess so be it. I'm a pony. Give me a break. What do you want me to say? Microsoft, they're dropping the ball when it comes to exclusives. They refuse to announce anything. They act like we're all should just sit around and wait for another E3. Wait till this E3. Wait till that E3, right? Like, come on. How many E3s are we actually supposed to wait for? It's absolutely ridiculous. This is what I'm saying, right? And I worry about it because people go, I know what you guys might say is, or some of you anyway, oh, well, crap, they just bought new studios, but their new studios are caught in making these multiplats for years to come, right? Like, that's what they're stuck doing. They're making multiplats. Outer Worlds, that game doesn't interest me. Maybe it interests you, but that's a multiplat. Nobody's buying an Xbox for that game. That's what I'm talking about. Microsoft makes these weird decisions with what they're doing. Somebody gave $1, but then message retract. But thank you for the $1. You're a thoroughbred, crap. Bring on the games. Exactly, man. How can gamers, no matter which side you support, not want games? Like that to me doesn't make any sense at all. I feel like us as gamers should be totally asking for games and wanting more and more games, and and we should be worried a little bit about what we're getting offered. So this was something that I talked about yesterday. So it looks like Halo Infinite is being worked on by 343 Studios, you guys, right? So if you guys didn't know, 343 Studios is a huge studio. I think they've got like 400 and 400 450 500 people working at 343. 343 has been working on Halo Infinite for 4 years now, be 5 years by the time it launches. This game has to be right because Halo 5 was such a letdown. Now they're outsourcing to a studio that worked on Mass Effect Andromeda. You guys remember the animation problems with Mass Effect Andromeda, right? Now this group is going to be outsourcing with the animations of the game. Sparesoft has worked on several AAA projects as a support team, including Mass Effect Andromeda. Now it's going to support Halo Infinite. According to this article, Halo Infinite is the most ambitious bet of Microsoft for the launch of Xbox Scarlet. The game, which will see the light on Xbox One and the new console, is supposed to be the most visually striking in terms of Xbox Game Studios catalog. It has a new graphics engine. The Slipspace engine is optimized to take advantage of the hardware of the most basic models of Xbox One. And we know that this story will continue the adventure of Master Chief, who also has new armor. Since the writing of this, they've been able to confirm that 343 Studios has the additional support of Sparesoft. The portfolio of this study is extensive. They have collaborated with several renowned studios in different areas, the most recent being the AAA BioWare game Mass Effect Andromeda, where they helped on the animations and of the game. So that's very interesting. It also should be noted that the main base of animations will be are still going to be worked on by 343 as well. And this is a collaboration that will have something similar support. So they also have collaboration with Skybox Studio, and I find that to be a little bit interesting that they have so many people working on this game. And not only do they have so many people working on this game, but they keep adding more and more people to it, more hands in the pot. At some point, though, right? Like this is going to be something that could possibly go wrong for Microsoft, right? Like so many hands in the pot or whatever. I'm hoping that's not the case. I hope that this is just because they need all the help they can get and things are going good. But you would figure the fact that this game is over a year and a half away, and they're still trying to get help with it. Like, is this game going to get ready in time? Is it going to be delayed? Microsoft isn't really into crunching, so are they going to crunch? Like, what's the deal here? Like, that's the point that I would sort of like question what's going on here. So I don't think that Halo Infinite will be bad. I just have my concerns because, like I said, Halo 5 wasn't great in terms of the story. And not only was it not great, but you also have to worry about the story situation. Like the campaigns in Microsoft's last handful of games have been not very well received. They haven't been great, to be honest with you guys. You can just look at the fact that, Gears 4 had an average campaign. Halo 5 had a lackluster campaign. Recore was lame. State of Decay 2 had no campaign. Sea of Thieves have no campaign. Crackdown had a lame campaign, just kind of nonsensical stuff. So, we haven't really had much in terms of like single player stuff. So they need to nail this. They have to get this thing going. Y9 Power says, I'm with you, Crapgamer. Microsoft lost me at getting rid of tradition. This is why they are losing. It's worse when you see idiots celebrating on Twitter. They just don't get it. Yeah, like the people, and I wouldn't call them idiots, but the people that are like, more users, and that if Obi-Wan, if you're still watching, like not you, just you in particular, but more users don't really thrill me in terms of, yeah, we can get more users, but less active Xbox users. That's not a good thing, in my opinion. You gotta have a big fan base on your console as well. I feel like people aren't buying Xboxes. Like no matter how much money they're making right now, they're not making squat on Xboxes. If you want to look at how Microsoft is making money, they're making money off of a lot of stuff that they're doing with like Havoc Engine, with Azure, with Minecraft. This is the stuff that's making them money, right? So you have to keep that in mind going forward. Like they're making money, but the Xbox, and nobody's buying like their software and their hardware the way that they used to. So you guys have to keep that in mind completely, right? Like that's a huge problem. Like nobody's buying Xboxes, folks. Like they're smashing Xboxes for like a 1% chance of of getting a PS4. Okay, that is a huge freaking problem. So hopefully we can see Microsoft sort of learn from some of the problems that they're having and get out there and do something for a change. Carlos Torres says, Battle Turds, let's get hyped. Here's the thing. Battletoads again could be a good game. I'm not saying that Battletoads is going to be a bad game by any means, y'all, right? Xbot is excited for this game. Yobi, a lot of people, if you're excited for this game, I think that's fantastic. You're excited for Battletoads. That's fine. I never thought Battletoads was a great game to begin with. It was a very tough game. It was a game that, you played co-op or whatever, and you ended up just kind of beating on your friend a little bit here and there because, they had that option where you could like punch each other or whatever. So, for me personally, I never thought Battletoads was a great game. Now this game, they went this kind of weird direction with it, with this art style. It's not exactly the art style that I would have went with, but it's an art style nonetheless. But again, it's just like one of those $20 games. It's not a game changer. It's not something, when us Xbox fans are talking about we want games, I think most of us are talking about we want these big AAA titles that we've missed out on this entire generation. And I know it's technically the quote-unquote end of the generation, but when you think about it, everything's going to go forward anyway. They showed off Halo. Why not show off a couple other things? Announce Fable. Announce one new AAA IP. Give people something to get excited about. That, to me, is the thing that I complain most about. And I wish that they would fix that up. Like, I think Halo will be fine. I think the days of Halo and Gears being looked at as Game of the Year contenders, that hasn't been true for a decade. Nobody's buying a Halo as a Game of the Year. Nobody's going to think that. I don't think anybody in their right mind would think that Gears 5 is going to be Game of the Year. So I'm just kind of pointing this out that somebody I know that I was having a discussion with on Twitter, we were talking about this, right? And we were like, he goes, yeah, Gears is going to win Game of the Year this year. And I made a bet with him. I was like, you know what? Gears 5 won't even be in the running for Game of the Year on it's not even going to be in the running. So there's that, right? It's not even going to be on the docket for Game of the Year. I believe Death Stranding probably will, but you're not going to see Microsoft win Game of the Year anytime soon until they invest in there. I believe you've got to have a very good both single player and multiplayer kind of based game to be able to do that. So again, that's my opinion. I know some people might call me out on that, but watch when the Game Awards comes up and we're voting for who we think won Game of the Year, Gears of War 5 is not even going to be in the running for Game of the Year. You're going to see stuff like Shadows Die Twice, Death Stranding, because Jeff Keighley's a big Kojima guy. And you're definitely not. You might see Resident Evil Remake 2, which would blow my mind if that made it and not Gears. So those are the type of things that you're going to see. You're not going to see Xbox games in there, unfortunately. So just love your No BS podcast. I listen to you every day. Jill22, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You listen. I like doing these on Monday. Get a little bit ranty or whatever. People are often gonna not like my opinion, and I think that's fine. My opinion is my own. Here's the thing. I never ever try to I'm not really trying to sway anybody. I'm just basically trying to get my opinion out there, and I feel like that's what I'm doing. And I agree. I just want better games for everybody, man. If we had better games, I think everybody would be happier. The community would be happier. Just everybody in general, just I think feel much better about the direction of Microsoft if they would just announce some games. Like, why not just announce something? I don't understand the constant non-announcement. Like, I get that you're afraid to announce stuff because you've canceled a couple games, but damn, at some point you have to get over that. You have to start trusting that your companies can do a good job for you, and these companies can actually put out great games. You can't be afraid to share what they're working on. Sony isn't. Sony's getting their fans hyped. Now, I do think that you can't do games 5 years out. I think that's something that you probably shouldn't do. Don't do that. 5 years out is ridiculous. But, I would say in Microsoft's current predicament, 3 years out is okay. 2-3 years out, yes. Feel free to show us something because you haven't given us anything to look forward to as Xbox fans. That's a big problem. How Hotman966 says PS5 might have a new media drive, a new Blu-ray player with higher capacity. Well, the 4K Blu-ray players, if you're using 4K Blu-rays, has higher capacity. You can fit more in there. Maddie B says Crap's done chasing waterfalls and doesn't want no scrubs. Exactly. I don't want no scrubs. Death Stranding is going to do really well. I don't even know what the hell that game's about, but it's new and it's fresh and people are excited about it. And I think that says all we need to know about it is, you know, Sony's done a good job of getting people excited for the future, and Microsoft has done a piss poor job, right? So listen, I talked about this the other day, right? I looked at that. I think Nintendo did a 4-minute video about, you know, about their Nintendo Switch Lite. They told you everything about this thing, the good and the bad and the ugly, right? Oh, it doesn't work with some games. There's this problem and this problem. You can't dock it. You can't do this. You can't do that, right? But they were honest about it, and they told you exactly what was up, right? And they kept it really simple, but at the end of that video, you knew what it could do and what it couldn't do. Microsoft is the exact opposite with this stuff, right? No matter what it is, they never, ever give a clear explanation and stuff. So I have a feeling that they're going to flub stuff even more in the future, right? This xCloud announcements and stuff, they're going to flub that, you know. People are already confused because Phil Spencer's like, well, xCloud is going to be a service, but we're not talking about price yet. But you can, if you own an Xbox, that's a local service. And he's basically talking about remote play, but he calls it something else, right? Which, by the way, this is stuff that Sony's been doing the entire generation, but he makes it sound so confusing, right? And this is something that they always do. So I feel like they're going to confuse themselves right out of the right out of business, man, like right out of the business. And the funny thing is I've loved Xbox since the beginning, and now it's just like almost that Rambo thing where, you know, he loved his country, but his country didn't love him, man. Like I want Xbox to do so well. And the fact that they continually drop the ball and just don't even care. They're not even like listening to anybody at this point unless you're like constantly kissing their ass. And I can't do that anymore. You know, I just feel like I can't do that. It's not something that I can do. You know, I feel bad that, you know, so many fans like feel let down by me and by Xbox, but, you know, and then they unsubscribe or whatever. And I feel like that sucks. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think that Microsoft might actually listen. At some point, people might start to listen when they see that, oh, well, Crap is not just, you know, making stuff up. He's really upset about this. I've even talked to like longtime fans, like you know, Rand Outdoor. Like I basically started over with all these people that I guess we had issues with each other or whatever. And, you know, the funny thing was when I was talking to Rand, I was like, man, you know what? Like what I'm doing isn't out of, you know, it isn't an act or something. And he was like, yeah, I know, you know, me and him were just talking, kind of shooting the breeze. And, you know, that's what it's all about. You know, you gotta be, you can feel the frustration when I talk about this stuff. It's not a fake thing. I am truly frustrated by Microsoft's lack of anything. Like when I originally got an Xbox One, I hated all the hate that Xbox got. It didn't make sense to me. You know, I was like, well, people should just get over the initial launch stuff, right? Get over it. And I feel like people would get over the other stuff, what's going on with Microsoft right now, if they just announce some games. Like games solves the problem, right? Like people don't understand. Games solve the problem. That would solve the problem. Microsoft needs to get people to solve the problem and forget about this stuff. Hold on. TB Banks says it's Sega 2.0, too much BS at once. Just make games and keep it simple. I agree. Stop 6 Doc says getting a PS5 at release. I have an X, so I'll wait or won't get the next Xbox. I need adult games, not GTA Bambi. I agree 100%. If you just look at what Microsoft is doing, a lot of the stuff that they're showcasing is, you know, very non-mature oriented. You know, they've got to figure out what they want to do. You know, just in my opinion, you've got to be able to get out there and sort of get the gamers back on your side, right? You've got to be able to do it. You know, just you've got to do it. You've got to get gamers back on your side. And even though people might claim to be happy, I think nobody would disagree that Microsoft needs exclusives, right? You need more exclusives. You need new AAA IP. You need these things, right? I don't think anybody would disagree with that. And I know the part where people probably chime in and go, but they have these new studios. And then I would chime in with, but most of these new studios are stuck making multi-platform games for a little while, you know? So we could, by the time it's all said and done, in theory, now this would be speculation on my part, and I totally understand that, and I'm honest about that. This is speculation on my part, but in theory, we've already waited going on 5 years for new AAA IP. If some of these studios that are capable of making AAA games, new AAA games, we could, in theory, have to wait when it's all said and done 9 years before we get that new AAA IP. And I feel like that's truly unacceptable. And that's something that I've kind of been very, very much actively talking about because I just feel like, Microsoft sort of doesn't have a clue when it comes to that. They like, we want these games, announce something, make people feel excited about your brand for once, like nobody's excited about Xbox. Like the same handful of people are the ones that talk about Xbox positively. It's like nobody outside of this little echo chamber is excited about Xbox anymore. I don't know anybody that's just an Xbox gamer anymore. Most people I know that even had an Xbox now have PS4s and play on PS4s mostly, because they have games and stuff, like people are tired of that. And like it was funny because my older brother, who, I've done a podcast with my younger brother, but my older brother had an Xbox, and I talked to him recently, and he was like telling me about how he got a PS4 and Spider-Man and PSVR and how great it was. And I asked him why, and he says, well, Microsoft was never coming out with any games. And I was like, well, and this was right when Crackdown 3 came out. I was like, well, they came out with the new Crackdown, and he was like, I didn't even know. Like they're not advertising their games. They just put stuff in Game Pass and expect people to get it or have it or whatever. And like that to me is just probably not ever going to happen. Just you got to be able to, people got to know what's going. You got to advertise your stuff. You got to let people know what's there, right? You can't just go, oh, well, we're going to advertise on our dashboard because you're already advertising. How are you going to grow if you're just advertising on your dashboard, right? Because the people that already own, that's the people that already own your product. How are you going to get people to buy into your product if that's the only way that you're advertising? It does not make sense to me. People still very much watch TV. They're still very much into like that whole thing. And the fact that they're acting like, oh, well, nobody cares about TV anymore is just absolutely asinine to me. And I do not understand it one bit. Kratos says they want to be quiet. Guessed it, but Phil is going to be too damn late. People are going to start switching at an alarming rate. Look, I've already been on record of saying this. Unless Microsoft pulls some miracle out of a hat next E3, I'm going to say that the Xbox Scarlet is going to be the worst selling Xbox of all time. It's just going to sell like crap. Nobody's going to buy it. TD Bank says it's got Terry Crews, Microsoft idea of advertising this gen. I'm surprised they could afford Terry Crews, to be honest with you, with how lackluster they put stuff in. It's absolutely crazy that we haven't seen, better and bigger announcements than what we've got lately. It blows my mind. Traditional gaming console sell. Fact. Y9 Power, 100% right. Like you can do other stuff, right? Why isn't Microsoft just doing this other stuff more quietly? And I'll tell you why. Is because they were so preoccupied with what Google was going to bring that they didn't care what Nintendo or Sony were doing, right? And Google came out with like this big, like people might like this idea of Stadia, but I just think that a streaming only thing, taking away every other option, where if you're not constantly connected to the internet and you're paying full price for these games, I feel like people aren't going to buy into this at all. And the fact that it eats up so much bandwidth, and with net neutrality and, just the stuff that are going on, bandwidth caps, this is not a viable option. There's not going to be a lot of people that are in the Stadia. There's not going to be a lot of people that are into xCloud. People might say otherwise, right? And I completely understand that. You might say otherwise. But the people that say otherwise are the ones that are Xbox fans and they're going to own an Xbox anyway. And they're the ones that are like, well, I'm looking forward to playing on my lunch break. Hey, more power to you, man. If you can stream it and play on your lunch break, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. But, at the same time, I just feel like I don't think it's going to be this big hit that Microsoft thinks. You have to remember back, right? And when I say this, I mean this in the best possible way. Look at the things that Microsoft thinks are big, right? Look at the things that that Microsoft thinks are big. Play Anywhere, this was going to be huge, right? This was going to get us so many exclusives. We were going to have so many exclusives. We weren't going to know what to do with them because everybody was going to buy the games on PC and it was going to be huge. People didn't buy anything on PC. Quantum Break sold like, what, 30,000 copies on PC? Like Forza Horizon sold like crap on PC. Killer Instinct, despite being on Steam and Windows, sold like crap on PC. Gears had such a low PC install base that they started doing crossplay just so people could fill up the lobbies, right? Like that's how bad it is. Like you're not going to see a huge thing. Now when Halo comes out, it might be a little bit different. There's that nostalgia there. PC gamers haven't had Halo in a long time, but Halo on the Xbox, I feel like has very much passed its prime. And you know, this last Halo kind of stuck a fork in it a bit. Hopefully, so I know a lot of people go, well, why complain crap? Well, just look at Halo, right? If you look at Shannon Loftus, she did this interview before Halo 5 came out and was talking about how great it was because they were able to put in new female characters in that game. And I have no problem with female characters, but I just think when you start adding things to are already existing just to kind of make them a token thing in a game, it ruins it. Like I don't know anybody who offhand remembers any of the female characters' names in Halo 5, right? Like you're forced to play with these characters, but nobody knows who they are and nobody cares about them. They're not good characters. When you played Halo Reach, part of the time you play as a female character, but there was you felt something there. There was a great story there. There was no great story in Halo 5, just shoehorning in characters, and you can't do that. And it almost ruined the franchise. So Microsoft probably sees that people want to be Master Chief, right? That's what people want to be. And I think when it comes to Gears, I don't know. For me, I want to play as Marcus still. I know that sounds lame. Like I felt JD was boring. I felt they were all kind of boring, to be honest with you, in the last game. Not a single one of them was one that I was like, oh man, this is a great character, right? I get that they had to change some things on it or whatever, but I just felt they were all kind of boring and none of the stories were great. So for me, that's just the way I felt, and I know not everybody's going to feel that way, but I feel like they could definitely have used something, something of a break or whatever, So I would have just done something with the original characters. I liked that the original characters were in it, but even so, it's like seeing, old Superman who can't do anymore, or old Batman who can't do it anymore. Just those characters weren't good enough to carry Marcus's and Dom's jockstrap, let alone carry a Gears franchise. So how the hell are they going to be able to continue to do this? It's just one of those things to me, like the thing that people, hold on. That's Maddie. Damn, man. Hey, everybody hit the like button. I appreciate it. Juan says Xbox is like WWE right now, boring, and PlayStation is like AEW, the hotness. PS, let Undertaker retire. Dude, Undertaker did a hell of a job last night, man. I don't know. I thought he did an absolutely incredible job last night. That was a fantastic thing that he did. So I don't know. Like I think Microsoft can right the ship, but they're gonna have to listen to the right people and actually get some game announcements out there. Like you have to get something going sooner rather than later. And the fact that Microsoft doesn't seem to be too interested in actually paying attention to what people want, that's a bit that's hurting their brand right now. That's not good. I'm gonna take some questions, man. What do you guys got? Some questions in here? Like the video, share it out. I appreciate it. Kratos says again, Gears being politically correct is going to kill the remaining franchises. I hope that they're not being that way with Gears, especially after what happened with the political correctness of Halo 5. Like that did irreparable damage to that brand. You're going to have to come back on that, and that's why they ended up having to take a break. If Gears 5 flops, I don't know what'll happen to the franchise or that studio. So Jago says, I'm an Xbox guy since day one. Hell, look at my avatar, but I'm keeping my X and getting the PS5 day one. I don't need to upgrade to Scarlet and play indies and AA games. This is exactly a great point. What do I think about Intellivision Amico? Is that the new one that they're coming out with? I don't know, man. Like, I don't think those are going to do any good. Juan says, I bet you Death Stranding will score better than Gears 5. I already know Death Stranding is going to score better than Gears 5. Death Stranding will likely get a very high 80s or low 90s Metacritic, and Gears 5 is probably going to get something like low 80s. I don't see it getting much lower than that. It's not going to score in the 60s like other Xbox exclusives just because that's a AAA game that they put a big budget into. But yeah, definitely Death Stranding is going to do that. What do I think would happen if Gears 5 is a failure? I think a couple of things could happen. They might stop making Gears games for a while, or possibly close that studio, or they could reboot the franchise completely, and just kind of do a reboot or something. I think that might be it. Fluffy Monkey says Kate was fine in Gears 4 and her history seems interesting. Should have had her as the main character instead of James and then switch it up. But if they go SJW, then yikes. Well, I didn't think Kate was, she was boring. The ending was like, okay, great, Locust Queen deal or whatever. But to me, it was just like none of those characters struck me as anything. Like those characters, like honestly, if you're a big Gears fan, tell me this, and you played the campaigns, those Gears characters in Gears 4, they would have got killed right away in Gears of War 1, 2, or 3. Those were like rookies. They would have been the Carmines of Gears 1, 2, and 3. They couldn't do anything. They were like so lame and weak and just like, I don't know. They just were not badass characters. You know, I'm sorry. They just weren't. And so I just feel like there was a disconnect there with a lot of the fans and those characters, you know, and also you had like DB bots, which were incredibly stupid. And, you know, people didn't like those and the tower defense and the Gears packs. And, you know, for me anyway, it was just like I was not a big fan of that stuff. And it really kind of took down the franchise a bit in terms of what they had to offer. So I hope that they fix that stuff and they get everything kind of rolling again, because I would love this to be wrong about this stuff. Like if Gears does great and it's a great game and it scores really well, don't come back at me like, oh crap, you were so wrong, blah, blah, blah. I want to be wrong on this stuff. I want Gears to be amazing. I want it to be like this badass game like it's supposed to be. You know, that's the whole idea. That's what I want. You know, it just really comes down to, is that really going to be the realistic thing here? Like, is that realistic to think that this game, the fifth Gears game, is going to be the charm? You know, I understand like they played it safe with the last one. Okay, maybe too safe because your characters were totally boring. And now they're changing things up, but they're afraid to show us what they've changed in the campaign. Like that never ends well. So I always say this: if they let the review embargoes come out before the release of the game, like a week or more before the release of the game, they believe in the game. If the review embargo doesn't go up until the day before it release, then they don't believe in their game, and that would suck. You know, that's a good indication on if they believe their game is going to be good, or if they believe their game is going to score poorly. So hopefully they believe in their game. And you know, Rod is a Gears guy. I'll give him that, but he's also very much sort of a politically correct guy as well. Most people are at Microsoft, so we'll have to see how that plays out. I just want like more mature games and Gears to be like how it's supposed to be. Gears to be Gears, you know, Gears to be Gears. Because so far we don't really have that. Crap, do you think Xbox might make Xbox have exclusives in the future, or is it done? There's never going to be Xbox exclusives like what we're used to. Just everything's just going to be on PC. That's just kind of the way it is, unfortunately. You know, that kind of sucks, but hey, you know, is what it is. Absolutely is what it is. Let me see here. I'm going to answer a couple more questions here. My biggest fear is that Mrs. Chief could make an appearance in Halo and steal Master Chief. I don't know if that'll happen. Maybe. I mean, this is a spiritual reboot, so maybe they give you an option to be a male or female Chief. I don't know. Marcus's Tomatoes. Yeah, I remember that. Are you going to stream Gears of 5, Woke 5 when it releases? I can't stream anything. I don't have a good enough internet connection to actually stream. 2014 games, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah. It's not good. It's still exclusive even if it's on PC because you need Microsoft Store or Xbox Beta app. Now, truth, listen, Gears 5 is launching on Steam, so you don't need that Microsoft Store for that, man. They're putting their games on Steam more and more lately. So we're gonna be back this Sunday with MNC. But Mooch is on Xbox Nation on Wednesdays on my channel, and we do Crossfire together on Friday on his. MNC, we had Sully's computer got broke. So we were waiting for him to get a new piece or something like that. So hopefully we'll be able to get back and do these, you know, and do those shows this Sunday. So I'm looking forward to actually getting back into that as well. Yeah, like I'll have to check out the bitrate stuff. Crapgamer, what do you think about a reboot of Gears from the opposite side of the war? I wouldn't mind that, or just a offshoot. I think that would be cool too. So, maybe we can get something along those lines. I think it would be cool. I have no problem with that. Hopefully they can do something with that. I hope. At the end of the day, I think it just comes down to what Microsoft is able to kind of pull off. So I'm going to answer another quick question or two. Um, it's still somewhat exclusive. It's just on Xbox and PC, not Switch or PS4. Well, they are putting their games on Switch though. Microsoft published. Look, Cuphead exclusive, not exclusive. Netflix exclusive. Yeah, look, like Cuphead went to the Switch. Super Lucky's Tale went to the Switch. I wouldn't be surprised if Ori went to the Switch. I wouldn't be surprised if one day Game Pass goes to the Switch. Maybe the Switch Pro will be capable of playing, some of these Xbox games. We don't know. Banjo and Kazooie. That leaked that game could be going to the Switch. Like Microsoft has approached Nintendo or Sony to put the Master Chief Collection on the PS4 at one point. I like the best thing that Xbox fans should be thankful for is the fact that Sony looks at Microsoft as their top competition and doesn't want Xbox games on their platform. That's what we should all be most thankful for. Otherwise, we would still have an Xbox, but there would be literally less point than there is to own one now because all the games would be published on the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation's going here on out. I personally would not buy an Xbox again if I could get those games on the PlayStation in the future because I could get all the great PlayStation exclusives and then I could also play the Xbox exclusives, the handful of ones that actually come out on my PlayStation. So there would definitely not be a need for an Xbox. And I think they're kind of phasing people out anyway. Like I've noticed more people building PCs now, right? They're just like, screw it. Microsoft is trying to sell me another console and literally there's not really a need for it. The X hasn't even been used to its potential yet, but hey, let's go out and buy a Scarlet. So, that's what kind of Microsoft's idea is. And, it's kind of a shame, but I do hope that they kind of see the light and actually kind of cater more towards what console fans are actually after. We're all after great games, and that's the most important thing. When it comes to video games, it's great games or nothing, in my opinion. You've gotta have great games. You've got to be able to cater towards your hardcore fan base. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are spending the money, man. Like people like me, ones that have spent $4,000 on your consoles and games the entire generation, not someone who plays Candy Crush and isn't going to buy anything, and isn't going to buy into your services, isn't going to buy into your games, isn't going to buy into your ecosystem. Like that's just the truth of the matter. So that's just the way I think about it anyway, man. I might be weird. Have you bought any games on Amazon Prime sales or any of the other sales today? I was thinking about picking up what the hell is that? Kingdom Hearts 3. I was thinking about it. So, maybe I'll have to see. The Ori games will someday come to PlayStation better on it. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. I don't look at those AA games as a reason to own an Xbox anyway. Those are like, okay, but those definitely aren't like these great games that are console selling games. Like people need to buy Xboxes, right? And PlayStation. Like we need people to buy these things so that we have competition. Without competition, we get screwed over as fans. We get less better. We get games that aren't as good. We get services that aren't as good. You've got to have that competition there. So hopefully Microsoft can kind of wake up a bit. That's why I always do. Look, I'm stirring up a ton of controversy. I'm just a little YouTuber, but I'm not the only one talking about this stuff, right? So if enough people are out there talking about it, maybe Microsoft will see it and decide, hey, maybe it wouldn't hurt to announce something a little bit early. Let's get people hyped up. I feel like that's what we're missing as Xbox fans. Any kind of hype for anything Xbox. Nobody's hyped about Xbox. I keep saying this, right? Nobody's hyped for Xbox. So that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. Y9 Power says traditional gaming is not letting your exclusives go to the other effing consoles. Losing Cuphead and Super Lucky's Tale was effed up, especially since those games were listed as quote unquote console exclusives on the box or whatever. I know Lucky's Tale was. I'm not sure if Cuphead had a physical release, but it was kind of piss poor that they did that. Juan says Halo Infinite will be great now that Mass Effect Andromeda guys are helping. Yeah, I can hardly wait for those animations, right? Like that's going to be awesome. Fun Creator says Microsoft doesn't care as long as Phil is in charge. Hey, you're probably right. And with that, you guys, I put in a good hour and a half here. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. I love doing Crappy Mondays for you. Please hit the like button, share it out, all that kind of good stuff. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for checking out another podcast. We'll see you guys later. Have a great week ahead. Be good to each other. Have fun gaming. Rack them up. Peace out.